Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing a really fun and simple project that I made using material I already had in my craft room. If you enjoy paper crafting, junk journaling, mini albums, or finding creative ways to use up your paper scraps, then I think you're going to enjoy today's projects. For this mini album, I decided to create a recipe theme mini album using sandwich paper bags as the base. I love using everyday materials in my projects because it gives new life to items that might otherwise get overlooked. Plus the paper bag albums are so much fun to make because they already have built-in pockets, which means there are plenty of spaces to tuck tags, notes, recipes, and little memories. The entire project took me about an hour to complete, which makes it perfect afternoon craft. It's quick, relaxing, and it doesn't require a lot of fancy supplies. And in fact, most of the materials I used were using things I already had sitting in my stash. As you can see, I am starting with like several sandwich paper bags. They're simple paper bags that you can find almost anywhere. One of the reasons I love using them is because then they instantly create like interactive elements in an album. The openings become packets, and those packets are perfect for storing tags and journaling cards. Before I started decorating, I spent a few minutes deciding which papers I wanted to use. Since summer is here, I thought it would be fun to create a bright and cheerful summer theme recipe album. So I pulled out some of the leftover summer's papers that I had from previous projects and videos. And I always enjoy going through my scrap papers because sometimes the smallest pieces end up being exactly what a project needs. It's a great reminder that you don't always need brand new supplies to make something beautiful. Some of my favorite projects have come from using like leftover materials. As I am working, you'll notice that many of these pieces of papers are scraps from previous crafting sessions. So instead of letting them sit in a drawer, I thought this was the perfect opportunity to use them up. I love when a project just helps reducing my scraps pile while creating something useful at the same time. The colors in these summer papers are so cheerful. They instantly make me think like sunshine, family gatherings, backyard barbecues, fresh fruit, and all of the wonderful recipes that people enjoy during the summer months. That's like inspired the recipe theme for this mini album. And one thing I really enjoyed about mini albums is that they can be customized for so many different purposes. You can use this one to store like family recipes, favorite seasonal dishes, baking ideas, meals, planning notes, or even memories from summer gatherings. As I begin decorating the paper bags, I am keeping things like very fairly simple. Sometimes it's easy to overthink a project, but I learned that simple designs can often be the most effective. The decorative papers are already doing a lot of the work because they bring in color, pattern, and personality. For the adhesive, I mainly use the double-sided tape throughout this project. Double-sided tape is one of my favorite crafting supplies because it's clean, it's easy to use, and provides a strong hold. And it helps projects come together quickly without waiting for the glue to dry. You'll see me applying strips of double-sided tape onto the backs of the paper pieces before attaching them to the bags. This process is like really straightforward, but it's also one of my favorite parts because it's when the album really starts to come to life. As each paper piece gets added, the plain paper bags being transformed into something much more colorful and decorative. That's like one of the reasons I love paper crafting. A few things, like a few simple supplies, can completely change the look of everyday materials. So while I'm decorating, I am also thinking about where the tags will go them later. Since the paper bags naturally create pockets, I wanted to make sure that they hold plenty of room for inserts and recipe cards. One of my most enjoyable parts of this project was creating the tags and mini tags. I knew from the beginning that I wanted this album to be like interactive. And tags are a wonderful way to add both decoration and functionality. And I think the larger tags can be used for like writing recipes, ingredients, cooking notes, or special family traditions. And then the smaller tags are perfect for little reminders, favorite ingredients, recipe ratings, or even like a quick meal ideas. And I always think tags are like a special touch to a mini album because they invite people to interact with the project instead of just looking at the album and that's it. They can pull out the tags, read the notes, and add their own information. As I created these tags, I coordinated them with the paper I use throughout the album, and this helps me create. This helps like everything feel cohesive and tied together. Even though I am using scraps, the project still has a like a coordinated look because the colors complement one another. One thing I appreciated about using scraps is that it encourages creativity. So when you have a limited pieces to work with, you start finding interesting combinations that you might not have considered otherwise. I think many crafters can relate to having a collection of leftovers papers pieces that are too pretty to throw away but not quite large enough for like bigger projects. So mini albums are like one of the best way to use those pieces. And as I continue decorating, I am layering different papers throughout the album. And I think layering adds like dimension and visual interest without requiring complicated techniques. Sometimes simple placing one pattern on top of another creates a beautiful effect. I also enjoy mixing different prints because it gives the album a play for summer feeling. Summer projects makes always makes me want like to use bright colors and fun patterns. And if you're making a similar project, don't worry about matching like everything perfectly. Some of the most charming handmade projects have like a relaxed and a slightly eclectic look. One of the other wonderful things about crafting is that there are no strict rules. Every project reflects the personality of the person creating it. As the album begins taking shape, you can really start to see how the packets and tags they work together. Each pocket creates an opportunity for hidden journaling or recipe storage. I think this will make like a wonderful gift as well. Imagine filling it with like family recipes and giving it to a friend, a child, a grandchild, or a family member. And for me, a handmade gifts like this can become like a treasure keepsakes. Recipes often carry memories with them, so they remind us that of family gatherings like holidays, when they have like holidays meals, favorite desserts, and special occasions. Creating a handmade recipe album is a beautiful way to preserve those memories. So while working on this project, I kept thinking about the meaningful how meaningful it will be to collect recipes from different family members and placing them inside the pockets. Another thing I like about this design is that it's compact. It doesn't take a lot of space, but it can hold quite a bit of information thanks to all the packets and tags. As I'm adding more decorative elements, I am making sure not to be overcrowded on the pages. I want it to be enough room for like writing and personalizing personalizing each tag later. And sometimes when I'm creating like recipe journals, it's important to leave space like for practical use. After all, the goal is for the album to be functional as well as decorative. And now I am working on some of the finishing details. These are often my favorite parts because they help pull everything together. And you'll notice that I'm like continue to use like bits and pieces from my scrap collection. Every small piece finds a purpose somewhere in the album. It's always like so satisfying to me when a project allows me to use materials that I have been waiting for the right opportunity. One thing I learned from like over the years is that you don't need a huge crafting budget to create beautiful projects. Many times the supplies you already have or more are more than enough. This mini album is a great example of that idea. Paper bags, scraps, double-sided tape, and a little creativity can go a long way. So as we get closer to the finishing, I'm checking each pocket and making sure like the tag slides in and out smoothly. I always like testing interactive elements before calling a project complete. So the tags fit nicely inside the pockets, and I love how they peek out from the top. It just add another decorative element while still being functional. So now let's talk about the closure of the for the album. For this project, I use lace tied at the top. I thought lace will complement the soft summer theme beautiful, and it adds a delicate touch, and it gives the album a finished appearance. And I simply just tie the lace around the top of the album, creating like a closure that keeps everything together while also adding decorative charm. Sometimes, like small details like a ribbon or a lace can make a big difference in the overall look of a project. I really love how the lace contrasts with the paperbacks and colorful papers. It creates like a nice balance between rustic and decorative elements. And at this point, as you can see, the album is essentially completed, and I have to say I'm really happy with how it turned out. It started as a few paper bags and leftover scraps has become a charming little recipe album filled with pockets, tags, and possibilities. Projects like this reminds me why I enjoy crafting so much. It's not always like about using expensive supplies or creating something complicated. Sometimes it's simple about enjoying the process and making something meaningful with what you have. I think that's like one of the best part of paper crafting. It encourages creativity, resourcefulness, and personal expression. And every time I look through my paper scraps, I see potential for future projects. Nothing has to go to waste. If you've been saving paper scraps and wondering how to use them, I definitely recommend trying a mini album like this. Is a beginner friendly, it's relaxing, incredible, customizable. You can adapt the theme to anything you like. It can be recipes, travel memories, gardening, notes, holiday traditions, family photos, or journaling prompts would all work beautiful. And that's another reason why I enjoy making mini albums. The possibilities are endless. And as I do the final flip through, you can see all the decorated pages, the pockets and tags working together. I love how bright and cheerful the summer paper look throughout the album. The tags add functionality, the pockets create interaction, and the lace closure brings everything together. And the best part is that the entire project took only about an hour from start to finish. That's one of the reasons I wanted to share this project. It's a quick craft that still feels special and rewarding. Whenever you're making it for yourself or as a gift, it is a project that can be completed in a single crafting session. So I hope this project inspire you to look at your paper scraps in a new way and maybe even create your own mini album. Thank you so much for spending time with me today and crafting along with me. If you enjoyed this project, I love to hear what would you do use a mini album like this for you. Would you create a recipe album or a memory album or journal or something completely different? I always enjoy reading your ideas and see how everyone's put their own unique spin on projects. Thank you for watching and thank you for your support and thank you for being part of this creative community. I hope you're having a wonderful day and I hope this project inspires you to pull out your scraps and start creating. Until next time, happy crafting, take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye everyone.